So yeah, it is time for the Else Views. This is the point of the show, the section of the show where we talk about the movies, TV shows, video games, comic books, everything that is on our nerdy little hearts that we want to talk about a little bit more in depth. Actually, okay. So I picked a couple comic books. These are older comic books. The one has issue 3 out right now as of recording this on Wednesday, the 25th. And I'm going to start with that one because both these, honestly, I think, Corey, you would love. One is a Nightwing book. It is called Nightwing New World Order. Both of these are Elseworlds books. So Nightwing New World Order is about an older Dick Grayson who has defeated the superheroes. He has helped pass a law in the US where it is illegal to have superpowers. You either use an inhibitor shots thing, or you are sedated until the inhibitor can be made for you, or you join the quote unquote Justice League and use your powers for the state's good. It is a really interesting story. I'm blanking on who created it, who's like the writers and artist team on here, but the art style is really good. I'm enjoying it. They've done 3 issues out so far. The cool part is, so Corey, I'll tell you right now, that's the premise of basically the first issue. Can you guess how the issue ends? Keeping in mind he has a son. Dick Grayson has
My Little Pony shows up and they ride away into the night.
No, because this is a 6-issue series, so that would give us nothing for 2 through 5 or 2 through 6.
Well, the night can last a really long time.
Yeah. In all honesty, I did predict the ending of issue 1, but I'm like, all right, it makes sense. He comes in to his son's room and he finds him using superpowers. Turns out Dick Grayson, which it's not really hit at all in the first issue, he is married to Starfire, a drugged, to where her powers do not work, Starfire. And they have a son, and he's going through some changes, and he has, in issue 2, as you find out, powers that are more powerful than Starfire, and Starfire is a pretty powerful character. So I have not read issue 3, but from these first 2 issues, and I'm assuming you've pulled up who the creative team is.
Kyle Higgins is the writer. Trevor McCarthy is the artist.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting story. I'm really excited to see where it goes, just because of the fact that this is an interesting concept that, of course, we have seen in other mediums with other characters.
It sounds sort of like we're seeing it right now in X-Men's Gifted series.
Yeah. In a lot of ways we are. The other one that I'm going to talk about, and then Corey, if you got anything you want to share, you can feel free to share, is Batman White Knights. Now, this is truly billed as an Elseworld story. This is written and drawn by Sean Murphy, who did the art for Tokyo Ghost over at Image with Brian K. Vaughan. No, Rick Remender. Sorry, with Rick Remender. And this is a Gotham where Batman has gone too far. And it is up to the Joker, a newly reformed Joker, to save Gotham. So in this issue, and I've only read the first issue, I think there's 6 issues in this one too. You see Batman just running down, it's like if you thought the end battle of Man of Steel was bad, where you've got Superman and Zod going through buildings, that's nothing with this, with this chase with Batgirl Barbara Gordon in the car with Batman, and you just see him like he doesn't care. He just wants to get the Joker, and he tries to kill the Joker by force feeding him pills. It has the ill effect. Well, I'm using ill effect here because it didn't do what he wanted it to do. It actually cures the Joker of his insanity. He is now Joe Napier, is who he is now. And this is
not Jack Napier?
No, Jack Napier.
Okay.
He is now Jack Napier. And we're having to go to him to help save Gotham from Batman. This is a really interesting story. I love the art style. Tokyo Ghost is one of my favorite Image series. I actually wish there was more of it, but I understand, they told the story they wanted to tell. And I love this artwork for this. It is such a compelling story. And it's one of those that he gets away with it because he both wrote and drew the book, so he could sort of play it out a little bit better than a writer than telling an artist what to do, or how he sort of sees the scene and then the artist giving his interpretation and stuff like that. But there's so much stuff in here. Like I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read them as they're going, and then once I get issue 6 or whatever the last issue is, reread straight through, just so I could pick up on anything else that I might have missed.
It's a 7
But yeah,
issue series.
7 issues. Sorry. So yeah, 7 issues, and then go through and read it. Gosh, both these books I've loved, and also I feel like there's a little bit guilt for not putting out any pull lists the past 3 weeks. But yeah, so those are some of the things that I've been doing, while over these past, while we've been off the air, while Corey's been, watering his lawn so the fires don't engulf his house.
No, we can't use water in California. Remember, we're drought friendly, so you just gonna have to stand there and hope. Use your tears.
But yeah, so Corey, you got anything you want to share?
Yeah, I haven't made it through the entire series yet. This one kind of snuck up on me. It's a Netflix series. It's from David Fincher, who I know from doing Seven back in the day. It's called Mindhunter. And I feel like it snuck up on a lot of people. I don't think people were really expecting this thing and what it is. It is a series about the guy who basically, Fight Club, thanks, Pete, who basically termed serial killer and put it into the general zeitgeist, and was the first one to study the minds of people who were doing mass murders, not mass murders like a bunch at a time, but like continuously going out and killing and having a pattern. It was around the time of the Son of Sam killer. There's references to Charles Manson in this, and he winds up interviewing in prison a guy who was out here in Folsom at the time, the co-ed killer. And he's trying to discover why these people do these things, because they're not motives that had generally been thought of. You thought of motives of jealousy, of money, of finding someone that you loved, having an affair. These things that were easy to understand. You didn't necessarily agree with what they did, but you understood what went through their heads to do this. And he was seeing killers that didn't fit those motives. And so he was trying to figure out why and what made them do these things. And we've watched the first 3 or 4 episodes so far. The first episode is very much set up, and also does not shy away from just random sex between him and his girlfriend. But by the time you get in the second episode and he goes and he meets the co-ed killer, the co-ed killer is a hugely interesting character in this, because he was hanging out in a bar with a bunch of cops and he was killing people. And at one point he becomes a suspect, but the cops don't suspect him, even though he's on their list, because they like him too much. He is so jovial and friendly and someone that you just kind of want to sit and talk with, that they're just like, nah, it can't be him. And so he actually winds up, after killing his mother, turning himself in, because he knew he was never going to get caught. And he knows that he is fucked up. And he basically says, yeah, the best thing you could do with me is give me a lobotomy and drill this thing out of my head that makes me this way. And the guy asks him, well, what if that doesn't work? Then you should put me down like a rabid dog. And what we've seen so far of the film, or the series, it does seem to be leading to they're going to discover another serial killer coming up. We're seeing scenes here and there where they're introducing us to someone that is either about to snap or is about to start going on to his like, I'm killing people and this way and everything else. But we haven't gotten there yet. So it's a lot of just discussion and this guy in the FBI and another person who's with him who didn't really buy into it, but is starting to kind of see, oh, there maybe is something in this stuff you're saying. Them trying to convince the heads of the FBI to let them pursue this, because the FBI isn't really into the psychology. They just want to stop the crimes. The cops aren't into the psychology. They just want to stop the crimes. And the main character is not likable. He's so into what he's trying to follow that he doesn't see the personality of it, in that it creeps other people out or it makes them distrust and dislike him. So at one point, he's in a room full of cops and he puts a slide of Charles Manson up on the screen. And he's trying to talk about Charles Manson and in some ways empathize with him to say, well, why is he this way? And he had a really hard upbringing and he had all these things that were against him. And he's trying to basically say he was made to be this person. None of the cops want to hear this. And one of the cops was part of the group that was around when Manson got pulled in. He wasn't there when it happened, but he knew guys that were there when it happened, and he understands all this stuff. So he's saying, like, you're fucked up if you try to get in this person's head, because there's nothing that you can find there. He's like possessed by the devil or something. But he does come to them later on and says, I have this other case right now. I came to this town because of the fucked up things that I saw in regards to the Manson. I thought, this place is so small, we're never going to see something like this. But now we're seeing something like this. What do we do? And they don't have answers yet. They don't understand enough to be able to solve this yet. But it's this journey, and this journey is very interesting. And like I said, that character, as grotesque as it is, and it makes you very uncomfortable, because he's talking about the acts of what he did to these women and to his mother, and it's gross, but it is so fascinating, and the person playing him is so uncannily good. And my wife said, like, is this guy even real? And she goes and she looks so much like, oh shit, he's very real, and whoever's playing him is doing an amazing job of it. It's like he's electric. You just can't stop watching him, and at the same time you want to stop watching him because it's sickening.
Yeah.
So like I said, we're only a few episodes in, and my wife is leaving on a trip this weekend. She's going to Detroit, actually, for her art stuff. So I probably won't get back into this for a little bit, but I'm quite excited to watch it again and see where it all finishes up. So yeah, I know it's weird to say watch this show about the exploration of serial killers that isn't really about a serial killer necessarily, but about the people who were figuring out what they were and why they think and do what they do. But it's excellent.
No, cool. Yeah, as you were talking, I was waiting for you to say something about that, and I'm like, wait, what? When is this? Is this like a serial thing, or is this a, like a not make believe, but scripted?
No, it's a drama on Netflix that is based off of real people, but certainly feels like it's deep enough as storytelling goes to be embellished, I'm sure, in some ways, but is also eerily accurate. Beat brought up the movie Zodiac in the chat, and yes, Zodiac is another one where you watch that movie and it is quite accurate in everything that it portrays, but it's still also such a compelling film in the way that they told the story. And it doesn't give you answers, because it can't give you answers, but it gives you enough information that you kind of feel like you've gotten answers by the end of it. And I feel that that's what this is going to do to a certain degree as well.
So that is Mindhunter, and that is on Netflix, and you can find the 2 comic books that I have, well, 3 technically with the 2 issues, Nightwing New World Order and Batman White Knight at your local comic book shop, or if you don't have a local comic book shop, go to comixology.com. That is it for the ElseViews. We will be right back.
Do you like scary movies? Did you answer yes to that question? Have you ever thought, I'd really like to listen to two random strangers talk on the internet about some movies that I may or may not have watched at some point in my life? Sometimes they even bring guests on, which adds to a little bit of the banter. Sometimes we cover the news of the week. Sometimes we don't talk about the movie at all. Sometimes one of us gets a little bit drunk. It's just the way that we do things over at the Podcast of Terror, which is a production of Galactic Netcast, in case you weren't sure. If you're interested in this, please go ahead and head over to gncast.com/pot. Subscribe and enjoy the crap out of it.
For more on this Galactic Network podcast, go to gncast.com. That's gncast.com.